मिनट अनम्यूट कर दीजिए जरा. ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ओम शांति शांति शांति. This is an occasion of the loss of beloved father of our Prabodh Bhai. He has requested that we should say something about the importance of self-knowledge in coping with grief. But the grief that you feel because of the loss of a loved one is at the emotional level, and therefore merely knowing, unless the knowledge also has been assimilated at that level. Lord Krishna says, Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana Veda vinashanam nityam yenam ajamavyam. Who knows this one, the self, ajam, unborn, nityam, undying, eternal. There is no question of sorrow. True. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. What is death? Is nothing but giving one garment and taking another garment. So yes, this is all right. That in fact, who am I? I am also the one who is untouched by any sorrow, happiness or unhappiness. Because I am the illuminator of sorrow, illuminator of happiness. If sorrow takes place, which does take place, the self-knowledge can be brought into operation in this way. I remind myself, hey Prabodha, we are experiencing grief, we are experiencing sorrow. That means grief or sorrow is the object of experience. That shows that you are not grief, you are not sorrow, meaning that you cannot be grieving if you know that grief doesn't belong to you. Understand that grief is not a problem. Loss is not a problem. When I connect myself with that loss, then this conclusion, I have lost something. That is when, naturally, a sense of loss creates a grief. So, bringing self-knowledge into operation is that this is my superimposition conclusion that I have lost something. Yes, there is a loss, there is a departure, no doubt about that. But that departure or loss has anything to do with me is the result of my looking upon myself as son, as related, and it is the son who is grieving. The one is related who is grieving. So I asked myself, who is grieving? The son is grieving. Who is lost? The son has lost. As long as I look upon myself as son, there is no way of becoming free from grief. Then we have to let the grief be there. That for a son, grief is natural, for a good son that you are and you were. A loving son who loved his father, served his father, and you declare he was like my friend. The grief or sorrow is natural for a son. We should not deny that. I should not say that I am a son and still I am not grieving. That would be wrong. There should not be denial. As son, as you are grieving, it is genuine. And therefore, accept that and process that. Let it be there. Go through it. In course of time, the impact of it will be reduced. And you can engage yourself in activities which can in a way compensate this loss. If you can create a gain for somebody, there are old people, there are fathers. If you can see father in someone else by associating with them, old people's home, many people are there who want son and who are isolated, lonely. If you can become a son to somebody, that son will feel the sense of nourishment. So the son has to be made free from grief, not Atma. If I knew that I am not son, he was not my father, then of course there is no question of grief. The fact that I am grieving means that I look upon myself as son, and it is natural. Yes, you can bring in this viveka, that son is an identification, and therefore grief belongs to son. I am not son. Son is a costume, is a vesha. I am the one who is putting on that vesha. If this helps you, certainly do that. But if you find that it doesn't help you, in that case, let it be. Let grief be. And then, as I said, if possible, try to become son to somebody who is seeking to be father, who is seeking to be loved by a son. If that is possible, then if you can do that, then slowly the son who is now suffering from a sense of great loss will slowly discover some nourishment. Again, the father comes back. Again, I become a son who was like before, who loves his father, who serves his father. So then, the most effective way of dealing with the grief is that son is grieving and you become a son like you were before to your father, become son like to someone who is your father, like my father. And then slowly the grief will really go away. So number one, if you can create distance between yourself and son, then you realize that grief belongs to son. The son is my costume. I am not son. And therefore grief doesn't really belong to me. If that helps, do that. Otherwise, experience the grief. Recognize that grief is something natural. And let it be. Go through it. And thirdly, as I said, try to become a son to someone, some needy father. That will be really the answer or solution to your grief. So may the Lord help you in every way so that you can process this grief and progressively become free from that. Hari Om.